we will get underway. So we're going to talk a little bit about water management, and I'll pass it over to Katie Dauphin, our department leader, to run through our presentation today.
Thank you, everybody. So our presentation is called I Can't Water My Lawn, Now What? Just a little bit about history. Let's see if I can get my, there we go. Presented by K&D Landscaping. So I'm sure you've seen our trucks around town with the green logo. This has been around 1986. Family owned and operated. It's now a second generation business. And in the last year, with all the drought and restrictions that have come down, we have now launched a water management division. And so this focuses on water specifically, where we focus not on just repairs, but how can we manage budget, water to a budget, and be efficient and protect our future with the water and the lack thereof at the moment. What we realize is that our landscapers that mow the lawns and trim the hedges can't always check the irrigation efficiently and manage to a budget. To expect them to mow the lawns and also be an electrician and the plumber at times is a lot to ask. So that's why we launched the water management division. So there are a lot of restrictions that have come into play in the last few years, but most recently over the summer, the Governor Newsom has launched the non-functional ban. So I want to explain a little bit about what that is, because it is a little bit confusing and new to us here in California. Non-functional turf is defined as ornamental and not regularly used for recreation. So it's areas that are active that you're going to mow, you're going to water, but you're not going to have a picnic on, you're not going to play soccer on because they're too small. You can see this picture here. It's usually those small strips of lawn that are between the sidewalk and the street. Also in business parks, there tends to be a lot of lawn that's never used, just looked at. It's ornamental. And then, you know, also dwelling places, there's a lot of those lawn areas that are in between the sidewalk and the street as well. So it is turf that is not used for human recreational purposes or events like picnics. So what about the trees? This is a gray area in the ban, and you are allowed to water the turf in these non-functional areas if there's a tree present. You can see here we have a picture where this is probably considered non-functional. You can't probably have a picnic there on the left-hand side. It's so small, and you can see why they're asking to remove these turf areas. It's really inefficient to water. There's a lot of runoff. What we would probably suggest in this picture is to remove the turf on the left side and replace with mulch and drought tolerant plants. And it'd look a lot better than this grass that looks distressed. So there are some solutions for these turf conversion ideas. Drought tolerant landscape with drip irrigation, artificial turf and bedding greens also look really nice. Lawn painting, we've actually have a few clients, especially wedding venues, that need that quick fix. It's definitely not a long-term fix. Get out that spray can, but it has happened where we do that occasionally. Xeriscape and then DG patio and walkways also look great. I see Neil shaking his head, no turf, no lawn painting. We also, this is a great picture of drought tolerant landscape with a nice walkway that looks great and uses little water. This is a picture that we installed in marine area that used to be all turf, and they redid the area to drought tolerant landscaping and drip irrigation. You can imagine how much water is saved in this picture alone. The water is now getting to each plant individually instead of just watering the entire area. Plus, it looks great. So which plants are best for the drought? I'm sure you guys have all seen in magazines and online lots of different drought tolerant plants that are great for the area. But in general, these are some points that we like to mention. That choosing plants that are pleasing year round, such as evergreens, choosing a variety, texture, and color. And then in those areas like office spaces where they're highly trafficked, to choose plants that are hardy but also attractive. Selecting plants that have high visual interest and showy foliage like succulents and plants like manzanitas and arbutus. You can also check out this website, the Waterwise Gardening, that gives lots more ideas for those water saving plants. So what do I need to do to get started? What do I need to know? Well, you need that square footage of your turf area. You can get out there with a measuring stick, but you can also go on Google Earth and very quickly measure your space. Looking at the condition of your current irrigation system, how old is it? Typically, sprinklers don't last 30 years. So you may have to look at your system and your controller and see how old is your system, and maybe it might be time to upgrade those components. Is your irrigation system working? Typically, when you change from a spray zone, like a zone where you have all sprinklers, and you want to change to drip irrigation, you'll have to make some changes to your valves as well. So looking at those systems. Also asking, what are your soil conditions? Are they sandy? Are they clay? Are they, looking at those conditions, and that will determine what plants and what kind of irrigation you'll need. And then also looking at, what do you want from the space, and having a plan. What we see sometimes, communities will have maybe do their retrofit phases, which is great, but if you do it in phases without an overall plan, what it tends to look like is 3 or 4 different communities. So we highly recommend reaching out to a designer and having an overall plan for your landscape transition. So let's talk about those rebates. Most water districts offer these rebates. There's lawn removal rebates, and we'll go into each water district here in just a minute. They can expand on what they're offering. But in general, the lawn removal rebates are a great way to offset those costs of those installations. Smart controller rebates. So smart controllers are those computer systems almost that sets your irrigation to run on and off. And these are usually weather-based. So you want to have a controller that will turn on when it needs water, and then turn it off like when there's a rain event. There's also sub-meter rebates occasionally. And a sub-meter, what this does, especially for HOAs, is if you have a pool and you want to separate and know how much are you spending on your irrigation versus your pool, you can measure the difference and be able to really see how much water is being applied to your landscape, whether you're overwatering or underwatering. That would be an insight there. And then also there is drip irrigation retrofits as well that also help with that offsetting the cost. So on our website, we do have a turf removal calculator. This is very general. It just kind of gives you an idea of how to budget your renovation. We're not asking for any personal information, not your email. It's really just something for you guys to use to get some information. So you put in your square footage. Again, you can get this from Google Maps if you need to. And then the lawn removal rebate, and this is all general, so you have to reach out to your individual water district to get these numbers, but it gives you an idea. And then also applies an annual water cost savings, because you're going to be using less water on your drip irrigation than your turf. And then if there is a drip conversion rebate, there's that line item as well. And so what you would have cost about $6,500 to do a drip conversion, it's with all those rebates and the water cost savings, it's around $3,500. So again, this is just something you can use to help budget, not exact numbers. Okay, with that, I'll hand it over to Roy with SoCal Creek, and you can make sure I have, tell us a little bit about your rebates and what you have in mind. Roy, are you there?
I'm not sure if you can hear us, Roy, but we left this spot open for you to kind of talk a little bit about SoCal Creek's water district rebates and what those are looking like right now.
Mike has trouble with the sound.
Yeah, I know last time he was having some trouble. Why don't we shoot over to the next one,
We can
Katie?
go to, yeah, we can go to Neil.
Hey, hello, everybody. Happy to jump in. On behalf of the city of Santa Cruz, we have had a longstanding lawn removal rebate program, and we do offer $1 per square foot of eligible area. We do differentiate between account class. So for residential type accounts, we limit that to 1,000 square feet per calendar year. And for multifamily commercial, we offer up to 5,000 square feet per calendar year. And that's something that's been hugely popular over the years. Unfortunately, we are looking at winding that program down in the near future. We are honoring all participants that have established eligibility, and we offer up to a year of eligibility at this time. I would want to say that at $1 per square foot, the program was designed to really just provide an incentive to get customers to help them make that decision to move toward low water use landscape and something that's going to replace, not wholesale, but at some level, some turf that they have on site and be able to enjoy their savings that are associated with that. What we look at now with the reality of climate change and how that's in customers, whether it's through water restrictions and or water rates, it's really creating different drivers to help customers make that decision. So while we still provide that incentive, the conversation with customers now has really been around the realized return on investment front and just long-term savings in the future and the viability of their landscape. As I know, we have prohibitions on watering non-functional turf area, and so we're getting into this cyclical nature of, okay, during wet years you might bring a turf back, but I'll know that we've had frequent periods of drought over at least the last 10 years. Then you got to let your lawn die and you got to bring it back, and it just becomes something, in my opinion, that's just not a viable solution for the maintenance of the landscape. And so customers are really starting to get that. And then when we talk about rates in the city of Santa Cruz, we just completed a 5-year rate increase cycle, and we're in year 1 of another 5-year rate increase cycle. And what that represents from 2022 to 2026 on average across all account types is about a 50% increase in rates. And so, if we just take drought out of the picture and just from a water management and water efficiency standpoint, we have high water use lawns, and then we have low water use alternatives. We know that outdoor water use can contribute up to 2/3 increase during peak seasons. And so if you are able to minimize that effectively and shave off that peak season demand for a low water use alternative, you're really looking at some significant savings. And so that really lands with people when we start talking about the financial side of it. As far as replacement options, we really do want to help people decide to go with something that's going to be a long-term viable change that includes plantings and non-plant materials. We have moved away from bidding for artificial turf. We are attempting to align with other city initiatives to minimize impacts to the landfill. And so artificial turf does have a lifespan. It's not recyclable at this point. It does end up in the landfill. So we've decided to just remove that from our suite of eligible products for replacement.
That's great information.
That's it for us.
Really appreciate that. It's very good insight and really just a good direction that I think the city of Santa Cruz is taking in the next steps towards helping to mitigate the issues we're facing here and the challenges around water conservation. So thank you for that insight and the description there. And I'm sure all of this information around the rebates is on your website. Is that correct?
My pleasure. Yes, it is on the website. And again, we are going through some transition. So that's generating quite a bit of communication from customers. So they're on the primary for that program, and they're welcome to call me.
Awesome. Thank you. Roy's still having some problems with his technology on his end. I know it's never easy with these Zoom deals. Hopefully we can do something in person here soon. But Katie, go ahead and move on.
Yeah, Paul Lord, thank you for joining us from Marina water. We love to hear what you guys are doing over there and the rebates you're offering and clue us in.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have a full scope of rebates like many other water districts. In particular, to address this non-functional turf, of course, we have the turf replacement rebate. We currently do accept artificial grass. It's most appropriate for small plots on residential lots. It's a good choice. The larger sites probably choose to do low water use plantings, perhaps patio space, walkways, tree plantings, and other alternatives to turf. We per foot for the turf replacement, and then for irrigation, sprinkler replacement to drip irrigation, we offer an additional 50 cents per square foot. We do have some requirements that at least half the area be planted at maturity with plants. Of course, if you're putting in decorative rock or artificial turf, that doesn't apply. But when you do put in artificial turf or decorative rock, and when you reduce the size of your irrigation system, we're always going to ask that you cut and cap any irrigation system components that aren't being used anymore. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges we come up with for our customers when retrofitting from turf to low water use plantings or something else is the work for the irrigation system. We do that your irrigation system is to code. Sometimes our customers need to adjust or install new backflow prevention, eliminate eliminate irrigation zones or make repairs for inefficient zones. And then pressure regulation and filtration. Of course, when you're converting from sprinklers to drip, we want to make sure that you're installing those components so your drip system works properly. Some other adjustments to the irrigation system would be upgrading to include automatic shutoff, whether with a soil switch or a rain switch. We do require that, but we do provide money to pay for the equipment that's needed. $100 is a starting point for our irrigation controller upgrade, $100 for a rain switch, $100 for a soil moisture switch. If you want to install a flow sensor, we have $100 for that. And then master valves. If you want to put in a master valve to prevent leaks and have some, in case one of your remote control valves leaks, we provide $100 for those as well. A lot of our customers just retrofit with pressure regulation and filtration and go straight to drip. But a smart choice often is to take advantage of all our rebates and just redo the whole irrigation system. Most, like Katie said, most of the irrigation systems are as old as 30 years old. It's time for an upgrade for that. Challenges, I wrote down some challenges here. Of course, if this network of professionals here can help our customers meet these challenges, just network with us and we can help you find landscapers that are qualified. We can direct you to the sources for mulch, soil amendments, irrigation, can guide you towards cost-efficient alternatives. Plant choices. There was a great link earlier about plant choices. That's a big challenge for our customers. We want to make sure you're putting in the appropriate plants. If you're not converting the sprinklers and drip or from sprinklers to drip, you want to be sure you're choosing plants that can handle overhead irrigation. We see a lot of customers put in these low water use native California plants, and then they try and irrigation overhead, and then it just doesn't succeed. The ongoing of your plant material is really important. Looking 5 or 10 years out, you want to make sure your plantings don't get overgrown or your plant material is not too large for the space. And then soil preparation is a big one. If you're tearing out your turf and you're going to put plantings in there, the time to make sure you amend the soil. It's really going to pay off, increase your watering capacity in the future, and improve plants 5-10 years down the line. I think the number one note that I have here is just consider the upgrade to your irrigation system at the same time. And then, of course, any questions, just contact us, Marina Coast Water District. We do require that you contact us before you start any work on your project. You have to be pre-approved. So give us a call, go to our website or email me and get pre-approved for your project. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you,
Awesome,
Paul.
Paul. Thank you for the great insight as well. A lot of good points there, a lot of good takeaways, and some great rebates. It sounds like the Marina Coast Water and City of Santa Cruz is definitely taking great steps. Roy's telling me that he still is having some troubles there, so he's asking everybody to check out their website. They have some really good information on their website. They're happy to be a resource as well and help out with any direction you might need. And that is one of the biggest messages I heard from both Neil and from Paul, is that they are here for you customers and for the public to ask questions and to be that resource to help find solutions and find answers. And of course, here at K&D, we're all about that too. And we're happy to help and provide that information as well. So Katie, I'll pass it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I also have Michael Johnson. He was unable to attend today, but he did provide the City of Watsonville Water District. They also offer $1 per square foot for their customers, where you can take a picture and visit their website for those communities. Up to $1,000 for residential, and then multi-residential and commercial is $2,000 per year. And this could be a question, Shane, for later, but I believe the year for all the water districts is from June 30th or July 1st to June 30th for those years. Perfect. Okay, so that's for everybody. So you can, in theory, apply for one in May and get that rebate, take advantage of an area, and then again in July and August within the same year. Is that correct, Paul?
So Katie, in our area, it's per account. So currently our single family residential accounts are eligible up to $2,000 in a combination of turf replacement and sprinkler conversion to drip. And then the commercial properties is $5,000. We never really grabbed onto this annual thing, not that we couldn't do it. For some of the larger sites, we may just actually do that. It's by metered account primarily. We do consider large special projects separately. Sometimes we can go to directors for a special project or for special requirements outside the landscape incentive program. Sometimes that comes up. I think we've only done one or two in the last 15 years. But for like the Army, let's say for Army properties or something like that, that's really large, and they have a very large project and they want to get going on it, we would consider that to the board of directors and getting additional money for that.
Awesome. Awesome information, Paul. Thank you for that.
So one thing that City of Watsonville also gave the information on is that they're going to be actively enforcing the non-functional irrigation ban, turf ban on September 1st. So they have sent letters out to their clients in July, letting them know about the rebate program and the ban, but they will start enforcing with financial penalties. Usually it's $100 to $500 depending on the case. So it's definitely a time to get a plan in order. I'd love to hear from the other water districts if there's going to be enforcement there, but this is Watsonville and they're going to start September 1st.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so at Marina Coast, we're notifying customers now, those commercial properties that do have the non-functional turf and that we see they're able to shut off. Compliance is pretty good. We do have a few customers that are wavering, trying to buy time. They are going to start receiving notices, and we're actually drafting the letters right now to those customers. It's a $100 fine the first letter we have to write to you, and then it's $200 for the second letter and $500 for the third letter. A lot of our commercial accounts are mixed use. They're older and they don't have dedicated irrigation. So it makes it a little bit harder for us to shut off the water to those landscape sites. But if it's a dedicated irrigation meter, we have no problem shutting off the irrigation to the landscape. So it's really important to get a plan together, turn it off. It's really simple. You just turn off the irrigation of the grass. It's not that hard. But start taking action immediately so you don't get the $100, $200, and $500 penalties and for landscape incentives. So I'm afraid what's going to happen is some of these required to stop irrigating their turf, drag their feet and wait and wait and wait, assuming money is going to be available to them later on, turf conversion. Meanwhile, a proactive customer will just come in and take all of that money, and nothing will be left for those that wait. So it's really important to come forward with a plan, get together with your landscape company, find a new landscape company to do it for you, and get some ideas. It doesn't have to be big, really simple. You can always add plants later, but so that you can get the money while it's there.
Yeah, great information. Neil, did you want to add anything about the enforcement or when and kind of how that is progressing for your department?
Yeah, great question, Shane. It will be progressing. We do have some additional staff helping with some field enforcement. But again, we always rely on education, just making sure that we're notifying customers before penalizing. And our focus is definitely on solution and just trying to find some understanding of, one, the definition and creating some context to why it is that we're instituting these policies at this time. And for some of them, it's state mandated, and others they're going to be local. But again, during these conversations, we're really looking at the fact that this has been a cyclical occurrence for us here in the region, and most likely will continue to be. And so, in addition from the water saving, it's really as everybody here has mentioned already, it's this enforcement component and mitigating any kind of infractions related to water waste, any kind of waterway restrictions, or as it might pertain to non-functional turf. This is something that's just most people don't want to have to deal with on a regular basis, or may not have the bandwidth to deal with. So if we can find a solution in the near term that's going to make it easier for them in the long term, we'd like to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. Is we need to start making action and making moves here and make some progress. It's going to take everybody to spread the word and really work as a team. One question that came up in an event we did yesterday was, what if we are doing our part and we see somebody down the street or the neighbor or the next business park over violating those issues? Is that something that we should be reporting directly to the water district? Is there a better line of communication? How do people go about reporting that, really for the sake of water conservation, not to necessarily, rat somebody out or try to get people in trouble? I've observed it. It's frustrating as somebody who really works hard to preserve water and conserve that. And you see somebody blatantly not following these mandates, not following the rules, and really wasting water. Neil, Paul, is that something that you may be able to speak to a little bit of in your neck of the woods, what you're suggesting to customers and how to handle that situation? I'll start with Paul.
Yeah, we have the night patrols. The joggers, the runners, and those concerned about water conservation that help us out, which is great. I forget the name of the website. I'm really sorry. But I think it's saveourwater.org or something like that. You can simply go online to the state website and report violations. You can go to the Marina Coast Water District website, and somewhere in there's the same link. And you can click on the link and then simply provide some photos if you have photos, or just a little bit about the problem, and then we will address it. Yeah, to resolution, it's tough sometimes. We do have a lot of our customers are really receptive and they take action right away, but there are those customers where drag their feet from us. So be patient with us, and we are out there working with those customers to reduce waste as much as possible. We don't currently have patrols inside the water district. We're as reported. So some other water districts are a little bit more aggressive about that, and the response time is much less.
Right. Yeah, Neil, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, indeed. We also rely on community members to report observations of water waste, and as well as staff, field staff that are out daily, pass reports on to us, and we'll follow up typically in an informal fashion, call the counter, try to get a hold of somebody on site or a management company to address the issue. And if it progresses, then we do have the ability to penalize. But again, it's typically outreach, education, and focus on resolution first. And during declared drought stages, we do typically have temporary staff that are out enforcing water waste, and that's a full-time job. We have a large area, and there's various reasons why water crosses that boundary to street and drain. Hopefully, we do have some solution to that. We're implementing meter replacement program system-wide, which will give us some insight onto those leak events that customers may not be aware of, and we have a method of informing customers of that. But as you know, there'll always be those issues specifically related to irrigation systems, and that just it relies on reporting that in. So we do greatly appreciate that. Conservation@City of Santa Cruz is the email that we receive a lot of those reports, and you could also reach us on our main line as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. It's definitely a group effort, and we all got to work together to make it happen. So appreciate that insight. Katie, do we have any more slides?
No, just Q&A.
Okay, well, we did have one question. Katie, maybe you can go back to, I think it's like the second or third slide, the definition of non-functional turf. I think there was some verbiage in there that we took directly from the mandate that was issued, and basically describing what that means. So this is it right here. Non-functional turf is solely ornamental and not regularly used for recreation. It includes areas not in active use but still required maintenance, such as street medians, office parking lots. Non-functional turf does not include sports fields or turf regularly used for human recreational purposes or for civic community events. So that's what they are deeming as non-functional turf. This does not apply to single family residences. So if your house is a single family unit and you do have a lawn in front of your house or in your backyard, that is still permitted as a functional use of turf. So there is a little bit of, I wouldn't say gray area. I mean, somewhat, yes. If you're not sure, best thing to do is contact your water district if you haven't received a notice from them already. But that would be my suggestion, is to contact them and just clarify if you're not sure. This picture kind of shows a great example of what is non-functional. There's not going to be kids playing on that strip between the sidewalk and the street. At least I'd hope not. And we're not going to be using that for any picnics or any events or any activities, right? So that's kind of what the idea is. If you're not going to be using it for an event or an activity, then it's non-functional, and the state is asking to stop irrigation in those areas, develop that master plan, and really start taking action on converting those areas to some other form of landscaping. So that's the general idea there. Is there any other questions anybody has? Feel free to put in the chat, or we are opening the floor right now to anybody who wants to say anything.
So Shane, I love this picture here, by the way, because in the background, it looks like the neighbor has a pile of mulch out there, and he's taken out his turf and he's put down some mulch.
Yeah, it's a great example of somebody who's on top of things and really working towards making a change. So that's a great example there of, you know, an area where either the city or the county, whoever's maintaining this, I can't tell whose yard this is, but there's a lot of waterways going on in this situation, and there's a broken head there. But yeah, in the background, it's a great example of somebody going forward, removing their lawn and putting in some plants and mulch.
I wanted to chime in about some ideas that replacing turf is with this high cost of removing the turf. That is completely taking it offsite in trucks. I had one customer who replaced about 1,200 square feet of turf, and I think she said a day and a half and like $800 for her landscaper to make 3 or 4 trips to the dump. So our other customers have thought it out a little bit, and they decided to take the turf up, yes, so that they could improve their soil below, preparing for the plantings. They piled all their turf onto other areas into big mounds, and then actually planted into those mounds. So they used the turf as just to make contours in their landscape, and they didn't have to pay all this money to haul the turf off the site. It was a big savings on money, big time, and expose the area for the new plantings so that they could bring in additional compost and amend the soil deeply for their new plantings. It worked out really well.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great idea. There's also other options for, you know, I know for smaller areas, doing sheet mulching with cardboard is another idea that we've seen used successfully. And sometimes, you know, just letting the lawn go and scraping it off with the flat shovel, and you don't have much waste after that. And then, you know, amending those areas that you are planting individually is another idea to kind of save on that cost. Those are all great aspects. We had another question here. Are there very low water lawn sods for our area? You know, there are not too many other than literally drought tolerant. They call it no-mow. It's still fescue though. And from my understanding, those are still considered turf areas that are a part of this mandate, which are technically not allowed to be irrigated. So unfortunately, with the situation of the drought and the levels of our water right now, there's not really a great option that has the word turf or sod as a part of that that's able to be irrigated. So I would say, unfortunately, there is not anything that is approved to be irrigated in our area right now that is considered a grass or sod in a non-functional area. So just a note there. Katie calmly asked, can you make this slideshow available to distributed clients? Yes, we will actually be sending this recording with the slides following the webinar to everyone on here. We are also going to be posting it on our social media platforms as a YouTube version so that anybody can watch it. And we strongly encourage to share this with your friends, with your family. And, you know, that's how we're really going to spread the word. We're going to continue to do functions and events and partner with the water districts to continue to spread the knowledge, as I think that's what it really comes down to, is that a lot of people just may not realize the simplicity and the ease of what we're talking about. There's definitely costs associated with this. And one of the takeaways I got from Paul and Neil was it's very important to upgrade your irrigation system. I like to use the analogy of, you know, what kind of car did you drive 30 years ago? It's probably not the same car you're driving today. In very few situations, that is the case. But there's probably an upgrade that's been made for improved gas mileage, improved safety features, just improved, you know, luxury features, technology, right? We got GPS in our cars. Some cars have Wi-Fi now. They've got the automatic windows, doors, seats, heated seats, cooling seats. I mean, all of these upgrades in technology. And in my opinion, I feel like the landscape industry, and specifically in irrigation, we are way behind the times. And it is time to upgrade your system and invest in these new components and the new technology that we have, because there is a huge opportunity for savings there. We've saved clients anywhere from 10 to 50% of their water, and we're talking 400, 500,000 gallons savings in 6 to 8 months in one of our properties. And that's all due to really upgrading their system with new controllers, installing sub meters, master valves, and simply just monitoring and adjusting the controllers in a more efficient manner. And that alone can save a ton of water. And then we're also working with our clients to come up with master plans for their landscape, as that is a key feature and a key point that I also heard and that we talked about today, was really, what do we want out of the space and what is the master overall plan? And that can be phased in. It doesn't have to be done at once, and it can really be phased in over time. That can break that cost up. And if you use the rebates and take advantage of those, that can help offset those costs of your improvements and really your investment into your property and into your asset. So that's just some notes there and some takeaways. We also had something mentioned from Kendall. Carapia is a drought resistant ground cover available in quote unquote a sod form, but it's technically not sod. So that uses very little water. It really likes the heat and does do well in certain areas along the Central Coast. Paul, did you want to add on to any of that?
Not in my service area. We don't provide free mulch, but on the Monterey Peninsula, and advertised a lot recently, it's the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District and California Water are looks great. I live in their service area. I haven't taken advantage of it, but I think you can get up to 3 cubic yards of mulch. So that's a big freebie right there. Mulch is going at what, $30, $40 a cubic yard? And they're going to give out something like 3 cubic yards. That can cover a lot of area. So you take advantage of the water district rebates for your irrigation upgrades. You get that $1 or $2 or whatever it is for removing your turf. I mean, some of my customers are getting $600, $800. You take advantage of the free mulch. You got everything right there. You got money for your irrigation upgrades. You got money for your plant material. Just don't go hog wild, and your material costs are covered right there. You just need to pay your landscaper to get it done.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I believe that at the Marina landfill, there is an Arbor Mulch that is very cost effective if that is a pain point, and is a very good option that is basically recycled tree chippings that they have cured and is available for a very reasonable price. So
I was out at the landfill yesterday at lunch, mulch for my wife to apply underneath our plants. And I saw bin after bin after bin, different selections of types of mulch, some with sand, some more towards compost, different grades, wood chips, different colors of wood chips, all kinds of stuff out there that is just down the street from most of our customers here in Marina. So yeah, the landfill is a great place to go out there. I think it's K&D Landscaping does the recycling and the wood chip program out there. And prices aren't bad. I got 4 garbage cans full of fine mulch for $8.
wow. Yeah.
A 3 cubic yard bag of compost at Home Depot for $8. So yeah, it's a good value out there. Take advantage of it.
Yeah. And John Ricards also said that he heard that there's state rebates on top of the local rebates. Neil, Paul, are you familiar with what those are currently? I know that they were talking about upgrading those or increasing those. Is it still active right now?
So I looked into this yesterday.
Okay.
I sent an email to the state. No response. I don't know of the money available from the state like it was back in 2014 through 16. But I am anticipating money coming forward. Definitely.
Yeah. Neil, it sounds like you might have.
Yeah, too. I have not heard any. I would anticipate that the state would roll out a program similar to they did last time around, but haven't heard any update.
So in our service area, we will stack rebates. You can apply our dollar per square foot, and then you can put you can apply to the state and get a totally separate check from them. Some of our customers in 2015 they really cashed in. Some of our customers actually had money in their pocket when they were done doing their lawn replacement. That's how much money it was. It was, I think, $2 from the state per square foot at that time.
Right. Yeah, $2 on top of the local. Roy just chimed in and said there's currently no active state rebate. If and when another round of funding for turf removal occurs, may be targeted for disadvantaged communities first. So we'll wait and see. I was told that there was going to be some coming out July 1. We didn't hear anything about that. I assumed that it was still the active one that was going, but it sounds like that's not the case. So it's definitely something we will look into as a resource and update everyone on our social media and our websites. We do also have the rebates on our website for each district as we follow them closely. So that's another area you can find if there's different areas you're looking for. That's something that we have, that we've partnered with the water departments here to really stay on top of that and really provide that information. So definitely something to keep in mind. We are lobbying very hard with California Landscape Contractor Association. We have representatives in Sacramento that are lobbying really hard for additional rebates, as that is another thing that's going to really help push this forward and help people convert and make those decisions if they're able to get some money back and have less of an impact on the pocketbook to make these changes. So we were working really hard on that. I know the water districts are too, and we really appreciate the water districts providing the rebates that they do have as of now. And I think that's a great way to incentivize people to make these changes. So with that, it's about 1:52. Katie, is there anything else that you wanted to cover? If there's any other additional questions?
Yeah, that I have here. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to hosting another event in the future. But it's been great, and thank you to our water district partners for hopping on and taking time out of your day as well.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Neil.
Shane, yeah, Katie, thank you.
We'll keep everyone posted on when the
Absolutely.
next webinar is, and hopefully we could do an in-person event in the near future. But we will be holding our annual water summit in the end of March of 23. So we're going to look forward to that. And in the meantime, we will continue to do webinars and keep everyone up to date on our social media and on our website. So thank you for coming, everybody. We'll send out the slide deck as well as the recording of this webinar following shortly.
See on water chart, yes.
Thank you.